Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to introduce to you Miss Autumn Morris from Lifestyle by Most Styles podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
So glad to be
Awesome.
here.
So yes, I would love for you to first perhaps share some about your background, where you're from, what you're excited for today, and what you're doing excited for the future.
So, my name's Autumn. I'm from South Carolina in the United States. I come from a family of mental illness, so I have an extreme interest in psychology, which is where I come from, and where I'm going with that is to become a psychologist. Of course, I'm in school for that, and in the meantime, I created my podcast called Lifestyle by Most Styles, because even while I'm going through school and stuff, I was figuring a lot of stuff out about myself that I felt was worth sharing, even though I don't have, a doctorate's degree yet. So I wanted a space to really share with others, to bring validation to my journey, and project myself to the world so that others could relate their stories to me and we could come together into a community. So that's kind of a little bit of background on me.
Awesome. One of the episodes that really stood out was an episode you made called The Process. And so in this episode, you talked about struggling with anxiety. Is that something that you still deal with right now today?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Today, I think it's funny that you bring that up, because today has been probably my most anxious day I've had in a long time. So yeah, it's definitely something that I struggle with on a daily basis, and it's character building. It pushes you to. I like to say that it's almost like a superpower, kind of like they say diabetes is just a condition that pushes you to take more consideration into your health. It makes you take extra steps towards being healthy than you would have taken if you didn't have diabetes. And I think anxiety gives you an extra step or pushes you to have more introspect than you would have if you didn't have it. So it's kind of, it's like it's a blessing and a curse, but it's definitely something I still deal with and will probably always deal with.
So superpower. I like that. So thank you for sharing that. In the episode, you also talked about how there were a lot of times where you got caught up, where you felt like you were out of the present, you were out of sync, and you were always, you tried to figure out, okay, how can I focus? But by focusing on tomorrow, you realized that was the day that never comes. That tomorrow was always in the distant future. So you had to figure out a way to focus on the present, the present moment. How have you applied that in your life today?
Right. By checking in with myself. I think that it's very easy to embrace the day if the day is positive. If everything's going in your favor, you're like, oh, this is the best day. This is my day. But never do you have a bad day and you're like, oh, this is my day. When it's not that it's not your day anymore. It's still your day. It's not going the way that you want it, but you can still resurrect it and you can still find victory. So I find that you embrace the day regardless of, what is going on, by checking in with yourself, by asking yourself the same sets of questions every day, which I've done today, and I do every day regardless of circumstances. Where is my headspace at? Where, how am I feeling? How can I pour into myself today? What am I learning about myself today? What does my body need? What does my mind need? What do I desire? So just checking in with myself as if I'm an outside person, and making sure I keep myself conscious and not, just because there's a bump in the road, not writing off the day, because that's something we do too. If something goes bad, we're like, oh, we'll try again tomorrow. But like, from my podcast, what if tomorrow never comes, because it's the day that never comes? What can you do to resurrect this day right now? So just keeping yourself accountable for where you're at and what you can do in this moment.
Wow, I love that. So checking in with yourself It almost sounds like, being your own psychologist or your own counselor. Do you have a process for that? Do you have a journal that you keep, or is it something that's more automatic every day?
Um, for me, it's automatic at this point, but on days when I have a lot to say, I make sure that I record it because I think that's a way of validating it. Whether I make a podcast about it and publish it to the world, or whether I just record a private recording of myself talking about my experiences of that day. So that's how I kind of keep myself in line with that. I also write
Yeah.
too. That's a great way to vent, especially when it comes to negative thoughts, things that we're afraid to say out loud. I think writing is a great avenue to take to check in with yourself. But like I said, I just have like a list
Hmm.
of questions mentally that I just run down with myself automatically throughout the day, and answer them according to
Yeah.
what I feel is best
That's
for that day.
man, that's awesome that you're able to do that and that you keep checking in with yourself. I do agree with you, Autumn, that I feel like a life worth living is a life worth recording, you know. And
I love
I
that.
and writing is such a form of therapy in its own self that I do also feel like it's a form of energy
Mm-hmm.
transference, that when we're writing, we transfer that energy,
Mm-hmm.
be it positive or negative, into the paper, so we get it out there. So it can be very therapeutic. There was another thing that you said in your episode I loved, and it says, we need to stop focusing on how the present prohibits us and focus on how the present propels us. And this was like, I was like, church, church. I was like, oh man, because talking about how okay, we can always focus all day long about I'm not here yet, or I'm not there yet, or I'm not who I want to be yet. But why not focus on the positive? So wow, such a powerful
Right.
statement. Where did that come to you, and how do you look at that statement today?
Thank you. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
first of all, for that. I'm cheesy, smiling really hard. Day made. I'm just a big believer that no matter where you're going, you
Yeah.
have to be here first. No one just wakes up and is, where they want to end up. It took days that were good, days that were bad, days that were neutral, days in which to be present, days in which to
Hmm.
be embraced to get to that journey. And whenever you make it there, whenever you make it to, your final destination, or, a pit stop along the way, whatever, whenever you recount your journey, you want to be able to
Yeah.
recount it accurately and tell people, exactly, how it was like for you. You want to have a solid recollection of how you got here so you can help the next generation
Yeah.
or the next person get to where you're at and further. And how can you do that if you're not
Right.
present in your journey and you're letting it pass you by? So I was realizing that, yeah, I have this huge goal to be this psychologist, but I'm letting these little moments of me figuring myself out, which is the basis of psychology, go
Mm.
and pass me by. And I can be present in them, and that's going to be hard, but it's going to help the next person. Number one, it's going to
Yeah.
help me too. It's important. It's just as important as reaching the final goal, smelling the roses.
Yes.
So
It's like
yeah.
that universal truth, it is the journey, not just the destination. It's
Yeah.
about my friend always says, it's like it's not about first or second place, it's who we become on the race. That's what he said, you know.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love
Shout out
that.
to Walt. Shout out to Walt from South Carolina, man. That's my brother. I would love to also touch on, Autumn. You said, if you died today, would you be satisfied with today? You know, are those words that you still
Mm-hmm.
live by?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I was watching a show yesterday called Pose, and there was a funeral scene, and someone was speaking, and he said, unfinished business is the
Mm,
burden of the living. And
mm,
that hits me hard, and that's something that I live by, because I don't want to finish my life, because we never
Right.
know when it'll end. I don't want to finish my life
Right.
with unfinished business. I don't want that for me, and I don't want to pass my unfinished business on to someone else. You don't know when your journey is going to end, because you don't know when life will be ripped from you, which is why it's important to check in with yourself every day and make every day a part of the journey. But I continue to live by the idea that if I die today, I don't have unfinished business. I am content with where I'm at right now. I'm not where I plan to be, and I'm further from where I started from.
Yeah.
But this is good. This is good. This is victorious. This is enough, and it extends further into, do the people around you, do they feel content with where your relationships are at, and things of that sort. So there's all different kinds of ways to apply that. But I absolutely live by that. I feel like everybody should do that.
Yes.
100%.
Also, shout out to the folks of the show Pose. I just finished watching that. We were in Hollywood the other day. That's an awesome show, by the way, for the definitely promo the LGBTQ community. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so glad you watched that.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
No, definitely. No, that show was on point. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I saw. So yeah, so you said in that funeral scene, what was that quote one more time? You said unfinished business is the burden of the living.
Of the living.
Man,
Right.
that I don't know why, but that reminds me of how I've heard that, the most wealthiest place or the richest place in the world is the cemetery, because people go to the grave with their dreams. They die. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's that
Wow.
unfinished business we were talking about. Being able to flip negatives into a positive, I feel like that is a strength that you have, that you definitely show in your podcast episodes, that you are human, of course, just like we all are. You go through things, but you're able to see the silver lining. And man, there was something that really touched me. You said that you are complete, but you are not finished. Do you remember saying
Yes. I remember that.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing to do in life, is take something really terrible and make it beautiful, because we're not supposed to be able to do that. We're defying the odds by doing that, So I enjoy breaking the rules. I enjoy defying the odds, and I enjoy taking a negative and turning it into a positive. There's this quote by Chani Nicholas. She's an astrologer. She says, "The surface of your life must crack if a deeper truth is ever going to come forth." So I always view every piece of negativity as something greater emerging from within me. So whenever I'm hit with a challenge, I'm like, great,
Yes.
I'm leveling up. Like, I'm about to be somebody, and the whole new autumn 2.0, 3.0, 6.0, like, I'm about to show out. Y'all are not ready for me, so whenever I see that negativity, I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right. And that sounds cliche, but it's so true. It's like, if everything's going good and staying good for too long, you're getting too comfortable.
Yes. So challenge accepted.
So
Yeah. So it's like you take it as an opportunity where other people might see, a problem or a challenge. You see the opportunity. You see, okay, you know what? I'm leveling up because of this. I actually went ahead and did what you instructed in your episode, the process on Lifestyle by Mo Styles. And at the very end, you instructed us to write down 5 things, 5 affirmations for the present moment, for the present day, not worrying about the future, but what can I focus on today? And so my 5 things were, today is great because I am growing. It is great because I am in the process. I am alive. I am evolving, and I am overcoming. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
So yeah, you can follow. I have 2 podcasts. One is on psychology, like we mentioned. So it's just anchor.fm/Life by Mo. And then I have my Speaking of Sex, which is on sex education and intimacy education, which is essentially the psychology field, but focusing more on interpersonal relationships, which is a deep love of mine. So you can go to anchor.fm/speaking of sex and also find me on Instagram at lifexmo or at Speaking of
Awesome.
Sex.
Awesome. Perfect. So before we go, one more time, thank you so much for joining. I really do appreciate this. I think I've told you before that you just have this energy about you where I can feel your love and your energy is powerful. I can feel it through the screen. I can feel it through, my ears when I'm listening to you on my headphones. So definitely, whatever work that you've put in, whatever work that you've been doing, it's working. You know, it's working. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. You're gonna
No.
make me cry. No, I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate you allowing me this space today. Like I said, today has been a challenge, and this is my silver lining, being able to publish it to the world and speak my truth to the world today. So I appreciate you affording me this opportunity, and I appreciate the peace that you exude. That's the vibe that I get from you, and I've gotten from you since you began digitally reaching out to me, is the peace is exuded from you, from the way you smile, from the way that you speak, from the way that you carry yourself. And I appreciate that. I'm sure your listeners appreciate that deeply of you. So thank you for that, and the love that you've shown me and my platforms. You
Thank
are
you.
incredible.
Thank you. And will you please do me the honor of "You Are Beautiful, Handsome," Life by Mo outro?
Of course. You are beautiful, you're handsome, you're wonderful. You're going to have a great day. I know you will. And I will see you
All
on the
right.
next one. Bye.